Welcome to our channel. This channel deals with the fire journey of a family. Our net worth goal is $5 million US, and we hope to get there in about 1.5 years. So this month has been a good month in the markets, which is the majority of our income gain at this point. With this month, our assets have increased by $107,000 US. This is our tracking overall, up and to the right the way we like it. We crossed the 4 million mark a while ago, and luckily we have not regressed beyond that point. And this is the split up of our net worth. So the taxable account have increased. The house has actually decreased in value. Um, by this rate, it will be under a million very soon. And retirement accounts slightly increased. We already reached our out-of-pocket maximum. We're doing some backdoor uh, conversion type of things, but the majority is just market growth. This is the breakdown of the expenses. As you can see, childcare is the majority. We'll go into numbers in the next few slides, but that is sort of overshadowing a lot of other things, and I think we need to dive into the numbers there to give like a better visibility in what's going on. So the top three expenses. So childcare is at the top. The reason for this is one of the kids is in private school, so this is prepaying for that amount. But that's not all. Some of it are for classes that are going to go throughout the year. So September is usually like the childcare expenses heavy month, just because of how things are set up from a registration perspective. Shopping is a bit high. The reason for that is it's a new school year, so one of their kids' laptop has died last year, so we had to purchase a new one. Also, washing machine has also died, so we had to purchase a new one. And there was something else that died. Don't remember what, some sort of appliance. But it wasn't that expensive, but compared to everything, it just adds on. And home, oh yeah, that's what broke. So home is this high because we had a lot of maintenance that needed to happen. Stuff started leaking where they shouldn't. We did some self-fixing, but in regards for plumbing and taking the toilet apart, that's out of our skill set. It's something we'll probably have to learn once we fire, but where we are today, we're not there yet. And the rest of the expenses. So the child cost is like overshadowing because of the quantity of it, but there's still a lot of expenses that are like pretty high. So food is, yeah, that's inflation. Basically, this is our bottom line or our baseline now. Health, dental and vision not covered by the out-of-pocket maximum, so some dental care needed and new glasses. Restaurant, we haven't eaten out that much just because we travel so much during the summer. We want, like, yeah, we're not hardly going out to eat. This is more like pizza and some leftovers from the beginning of the month where we're still out of the country. Same for entertainment, transportation, same sort of thing. Insurance is, I think I've talked about it, the rates have increased significantly, so we're paying $200 more a month now for both property and vehicle insurance. So we had a conversation with the insurance company to see how we can reduce that. So we'll do some changes, but it doesn't go to like, it's still going to be significantly more than last year. I think this is the realization of global change and geopolitical changes that are just making home ownership and vehicle ownership a little more expensive. Um, it does make us wonder, like, what will happen when we replace our cars for newer ones? Will everything basically be doubled? Because there's some laws here for older cars that are like paying less. So yeah, I think we have another year or two until we have to purchase a new car once the older kids start driving, but we'll see where we get to. And pet, yeah, that's when we've traveled. The pet was in a boarding location, so that it's not that expensive, just because of the duration of it. So it was about $20 a day. Just a lot of days we were out of the country, so somebody needs to take care of the dog. Which brings our total expense this month to about 38,000, which is way high even for us. So I had a look of like how this compares to like September of last year. So September of last year we're about 30 mark, and this is 38. So if you account for all the fixes we had to do in the house and the new appliances and new laptop and things of that nature, Still doesn't count for everything, but it it's not as expensive as I understood it to be in the first place. It's still super high. I'm not saying this is a normal house or that even a sustainable sort of like expense. But yeah, this is the last year of one of the kids in private school, and that will decrease this by a significant amount. Plus, one of the other kids were like, does she need after school at this point? Can she just walk home by herself? So we'll see if we'll make some changes next year. But for now, we already prepaid for everything for the year, so we should be good to go there. So a little bit about us. We are two working parents. Most of our income is from W-2. We have three kids, ages from 7 to 11, and we live in a high cost of living area. We own our own house at this point. We are debt free.
Travel budget plan in retirement is 3K. So we started collecting data about our various vacations, and the rest of the video is various vacations and their breakdown of cost.
So this is a different kind of vacation we were trying for preparing for slow travel and things of that nature. So this is a month-long trip in Southeast Asia with some very cheap countries like Vietnam and some very expensive countries like Japan. So you'll see sort of like different mismatch things together. So flights, it's expensive to get there, but internal flights were very cheap. Food, since part of the trip was in cheap countries, some of it was inexpensive. In the cheap countries, we ate out mostly, and in the more expensive countries, we I would not say cooked, but more like ate supermarket type food. Stays, it's a combination of Airbnb and hotels. Again, like the expensive places were $300 a night in high cost of living countries, and in cheap countries, it was $100 a night. For what I would say comfortable accommodations, not the highest end, but uh, a lot more than we're used to over here. Entertainment, yeah, you travel for a month, you do sort of like excursions and things of that nature. And in the cheap countries, it was $100 a day for our family, but in the more expensive countries, yeah, it does get expensive. Especially, we did Disney Japan, which, yeah, Disney is always expensive. Shopping, we bought a few things, nothing extravagant, mostly knickknacks and things of that nature. But in expensive countries, like I mentioned, it does get expensive. Cheap countries, not so much. Transportations, mostly Ubers. We did not rent cars. We're not comfortable in driving that part of the world. So this was Ubers, Lyfts, things of that nature. So that brings our total vacation for a month to 18,000. It is expensive, but about like 8,000 of this is just the flights to get there. So that aligns with our sort of slow travel goals post fire, where we can hang out in a geolocation for a bit longer. Um, yeah, super cheap. That part of the world, relatively speaking. So if we extrapolate this to like a 2 months summer vacation type thing, well below our 30K expected budget. So yeah. So this was a different type of vacation. We drove to Alaska for the most part. Several kids joined midway and left midway. But this was a long vacation. Food, we cooked out, we camped for some of it. Restaurants, not that expensive, not that much restaurant amount of restaurants. Um, I mean, Alaska is pretty rural for the most part, so yeah, the restaurants are just not that abundant. And doing the drive up there via Canada, it's just fast food restaurants along the way, nothing too fancy. Stays were more expensive than we expected, but this is to do with us opting to sleep in hotels more versus our original estimate of camping. This was to do with the midnight sun and the heat from it, as well as the sun, which caused sleeping outdoors more challenging than we expected. And even the hotels didn't have blackout curtains and things of that nature, but they're not that expensive. Like the cheapest one was $100, and the most expensive one was $250. and they ran the gamut towards the lower range. Entertainment, we did a few excursions. The bigger one was a glacier landing, that about 1,800 from this amount, and the rest were smaller type excursions. Shopping, we didn't do a lot of. We enjoyed the outdoors, so we spent more times there than in shopping areas. Transportation, this is for fuel mainly, since we use our own car. So as you can see, it's like driving up there and driving back down, and traveling there, not that expensive. Like fuel in Alaska is actually cheaper than several states we passed, which was a big surprise. Some rural parts of Alaska and Canada did have more expensive fuel, but we spent $20-$30 extra for those sorts of things. And this brings the total for about 4 weeks of vacation to $10,000, which is $65 per person per day, which is like one of the cheapest vacations we had. Most of it to do with several nights camping and using our own car, which, yeah, a surprise for us, and it makes Alaska a appealing destination because of the nature and the rural aspect of it. So this is our Hawaii vacation breakdown. Flights were about $4,000. Food 600. Restaurants 660. We didn't eat a lot outside for some of it. Stays are the most expensive part. A, because we stayed at luxury um, resorts and paid the price for it. Happy to. Entertainment was again excursions, luau, things of that nature. Shopping, not that much. Not because we didn't want to buy anything. It's just like we enjoyed being outside and doing things often, and we just skipped a lot of shopping. Transportation is mostly rental cars for the different islands we were on. Um, Not too expensive, comparative speaking. We did have a car, I think, about 90% of the days. Um, yeah, just not as expensive as I expected. I mean, this is post-COVID, so prices have come back down.
Of the vacation, $12,000, which breaks down to the five of us of $170 per day per person. Vacation just the adults took to Japan. So this is just for the two of us. Flights were relatively expensive. The stays was mostly hotels throughout the time, which is a bit surprising considering the lower cost of Japan compared to what we budgeted and planned. It was relatively super cheap to compare to even a Motel 6 in the US, a high-end hotel over there. Vacation was about 6,500, which is about $160 per person per day. This was about a 2.5, 3 weeks vacation. It was partially traveling and partially just working. Vacation we took for the five of us. This did not include RVs or anything to that extent. This was hotels and driving around in a rental car. It is comparatively more expensive than we imagined with this sort of like road trip type vacation, which is a little surprising compared to the rest, but good data to have. Vacation to 8,200, which comes up to about $100 per person per day. The vacation we took with an RV, so that's why you see flights here are zero because we took an RV and traveled throughout. That's why you see transportation is very expensive. It was mostly that sort of like rental of the vehicle and stays. So the stays you see here is basically campground fees. Various campgrounds. Sometimes we dry dock. Sometimes we offer the kids. Went to an RV that campground that had more facilities like a pool, etc. That vacation to about $4,000, which is comes out to about $100 per person per day. Vacation we took in New York City, Manhattan. We stayed in a downtown, very nice hotel. Um, it was like I think a 3 or 4 day weekend sort of thing. So pretty expensive for like a quick, large, long weekend, but it's something we occasionally do expect to do. So that's why it's like it's super expensive. Like relatively, it's not that much, but it's very expensive per day. A Manhattan is an expensive place to stay, but also we did a lot of activities in that jam-packed weekend. another Hawaii vacation. It's different than the one earlier in this video, but it is nice to see like the difference between them. Again, this was a flights, high-end hotels, and some Airbnbs as well. So a combination of both, and pretty awesome. This vacation to 6,600, which comes up to about $120 per person. Of the vacation took in California. Everything's pretty cheap compared to the other vacations we've had. We just found it very interesting to see the differences. California is still an expensive place to visit and stay, but it is convenient. California vacation to about $180 per person per day. So half of New York, but more than a road trip slash RV vacation.
So our debt is currently zero. It took us a few good years to get to that. This was before we started tracking everything, so I can't show you the journey. I would say that it took us about 9 to 10 years to like pay off the house, and we didn't have student loans. Well, not too many student loans, so don't count that. And yeah, so we like it. We still have like a monthly credit card debt that we're rolling forward all the time, but we're paying it monthly, so we don't count that as part of our debt.